All right. Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you all to another Crypto Talk Tuesday. I am Mario Johnson, your host. I'm also the president of Crypto Scholars LLC. And tonight, our topic is what can I do if I can't afford a whole Bitcoin? A lot of people have been asking me about this particular question who are new to the space. And it makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you look at the price of a full Bitcoin right now, it's what, approaching $60,000. It actually hit $60,000 just past weekend, but it did retrace back down. So now I think it's around like 55, 56,000. And to a lot of people, that's well outside of their price range. That's well outside of what they'll even be considering trying to invest into when it comes to getting a full Bitcoin. What I want to do is I want to dive deeper into that entire psychological mindset of I can't afford a full Bitcoin, and I want to put out a few options that are available that are present to us in regards to not having to buy full Bitcoin. And then once we get done with that, I'm gonna follow it up with a quick Q&A. I'm gonna allow you guys to ask a couple of questions, and hopefully I can give you a good answer. Now, always, before we get started, I want to point out that the information provided in this Crypto Talks Tuesday discussion is for educational purposes only. My company, are not financial advisors, and we do not offer or provide financial advice in any way, shape, or form. Please do not buy or sell anything based on the information in these sessions that we provide. Again, this is truly just for educational purposes. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So what can I do if I can't afford a full Bitcoin? Well, I'm going to bring this over because this article actually really good. It speaks on to that actual particular topic. And I'm just going to kind of paraphrase it a little bit so you guys can actually see it. But here it says, if you didn't get into Bitcoin in the early stages, it might seem like it's too late. Prices are soaring to intimidating levels, and few of us have thousands, in this case, around $60,000 to spend on a whole Bitcoin. But the truth is, it doesn't matter if you can't afford a whole Bitcoin or even a tenth of a Bitcoin. It's possible to buy as little as 100 millionth of a Bitcoin at a time. It's a unit known as a Satoshi, which a lot of people say it was named after the synonymous founder or founders who actually created Bitcoin, because the pseudo name is Satoshi Nakamoto. But people have been saying it's too late to invest in Bitcoin since the price hit, what we're looking at, the tens of thousands of dollars. But the time to, people think that the best time to get involved is 2009. It is what it is. Like there's no time better than the present, especially in this current bull market, as we call it, that we're in, where a lot of people, a lot of retail investors, a lot of institutional investors, a lot of investors overall are coming into the market because they see the potential gains for this. Now, one thing that I really wanted to point out that this article kind of touched on is that it's not that different to any other investment. Investing is changing. Like, we no longer need large amounts of money to get started. You don't need to invest in a whole property or a piece of artwork. New platforms are making it possible to buy a small percentage. Gold investors, likewise, don't need to buy a whole bullion. Like, you don't have to buy 100 ounce, a 1 kilogram bar of gold in order to own gold. In essence, you can actually buy the little gold coins, 1 ounce gold coins. You can even get, the grams, it doesn't even have to be a full ounce. So cryptocurrencies are much the same. It's possible to only spend what you can afford and still reap the benefits. That is so true. Again, for me, I tell people not to look at it from, I don't have a whole Bitcoin, I can't afford an entire Bitcoin. Look at it as to where I just bought 10,000 Satoshis. I just bought 1,000,000 Satoshis. In that regard, you've become a Satoshi millionaire. Now, another thing you look at is, I like market cap, for my actual investors out there. You look at, I just invested, say, $1,000 into Bitcoin. Now, say Bitcoin goes up 10%, in a week or a month, the market is extremely volatile, but it goes up 10%. You just made $100 off your $1,000 investment. Say Bitcoin goes up 50%, you just made $500. So now your $1,000 is now worth $1,500 from doing nothing but investing into this asset. Now, say Bitcoin doubles, triples, 4X's. Look at it from that regard, in a way that it's not about I can't afford an entire Bitcoin, is that I'm investing this much into Bitcoin and it has the potential to do this much of a return. So when you start breaking it down and thinking about it from what they call unit bias, not thinking about it from what they call unit bias in regards to I need an entire Bitcoin to get into Bitcoin, as more so thinking about it to the regard of I just invested this much. I invested X into Bitcoin. Bitcoin has, increased by, whatever percentage it has increased. Now the X amount that I've invested into Bitcoin is worth the same amount of the increase. Now, going back to the article, it says, what's the point in buying a fraction of Bitcoin? I think I just touched on that a good bit, but I'm going to continue on. It said it might seem as if buying a fraction of Bitcoin isn't worth the time and effort. However, there are two main reasons why purchasing even a single Satoshi, which we talked about, that's the visible units of a Bitcoin, is worth consideration. The first is it's an ideal way to start learning about cryptocurrencies. It kind of wets your whistle to get you into the space. Some crypto evangelists predict Bitcoin will become mainstream or even replace fiat currency. Remember I talked about a few minutes ago of, you can become a Satoshi millionaire. Now, this has a long way to go. We're talking potentially 10, 20 years into the future. But let's say Bitcoin does replace the dollar as the world reserve currency. At that point, it can go 1 to 1. One Satoshi is worth $1. You got a million Satoshis, which today you probably spent $400 or $500 on. You just became a millionaire. So if you look at it from that regard, if you understand the potential that Bitcoin has, it's what we call disruptive technology in the fact that it's truly disrupting the financial system and how we view finance. Continuing on in the article, countless people and companies around the world are investing a great deal of time and money into making that happen. And when we say making that happen, we're talking about the potential for Bitcoin to replace fiat currency. Right. So buying part of a Bitcoin is the perfect way to get used to using the technology. So it's teaching you, it's slowly getting you adapted to being more comfortable with using it, and to learn a bit more about how it works in case it does just so happen to replace become the world reserve currency and replace fiat. All right. The second benefit buying a fraction of Bitcoin is there's still a potential for financial gain, which I talked about earlier in this article. If you start with a small amount of Bitcoin, your losses are capped, but the potential gains are theoretically unlimited. For example, some analysis predict that the price of Bitcoin could rise as high as $100,000. That's on the low end, as $100,000. High end, people are calling for a $300,000 to a $500,000 Bitcoin. If that happens, the $100 investment today, like we talked about before, if Bitcoin, we're at say $60,000, if it's in excess, your $100 is now worth $1,000. Your $1,000 is now worth $10,000, and so on and so forth. You can do the numbers for yourself. So what that means is, obviously no one can predict the future, and that's an enormous relative increase. But Bitcoin has, over the years since its inception, has done thousands of percents of a return. It's amazing the amount of return that Bitcoin has done so far. So even though that is an enormous increase, it's not outside of the realm of possibility. So again, investing $100 to $1,000, means that the largest amount you can lose is that $100, $100,000. But it's what we call an asymmetrical bet, an asymmetrical investment, in that your potential to gain greatly outweighs your potential to lose. So, and when I say your potential to lose, I mean you can make a hell of a lot more than you can lose. So say you put $1,000 in. I keep going back to $1,000 because it's a nice round number. Say Bitcoin goes down 50%, you just lost $500. Okay, but say Bitcoin goes up, it 10x's, it goes up 1,000%. You just made $10,000 off a $1,000 investment. That's asymmetric. Your losses will never amount to the how much you can gain, which is why a lot of people have become a lot more interested in the crypto world versus the traditional stock market, mainly because the traditional stock market has matured. So unless you can find that true diamond in the rough, that needle in the haystack that people always talk about, you're looking at over the course of some years, 10% return. A lot of I said this in the last last Tuesday's discussion. A lot of investors are happy, they're ecstatic that they're getting 10% return in a year on their investment. I don't want to spend a year, say I invest $1,000. I don't want it to take a year for me to make $100 off of that investment. So again, this is why a lot of people are seeing the potential in Bitcoin, because it's still in its infancy. It's still in its adolescent years. It's nowhere near being mature yet. So it has a long way to go. So that was what I wanted to talk about in regards to the question of, what do I do if I can't afford a whole Bitcoin? Well, don't worry about that. Again, don't think of it. And a lot of exchanges, a lot of wallet providers, Bitcoin providers are offering. Actually, they're adapting to it. I know if you open up Cash App on your phone, you can actually display your amount, like your Bitcoin holdings. If you buy it through Cash App, you can have it displayed to you either in Bitcoin or in Satoshis. And you can actually, you can kind of switch it back and forth. So it's like, hey, I got 0.005 Bitcoin, or I got, 500,000 Satoshis. Sounds a lot better, if you ask me. So it's basically just a psychological game. The dollar value is the same, but most people, we're humans. Again, we suffer from what's called unit bias. We don't like to think less than zero. Zero is kind of like our baseline. Anything less than zero is like, well, what am I doing? I don't even have anything. I don't have a lot. I don't have enough. And that's where, buying those smaller denominations, not having an entire Bitcoin can kind of play on you psychologically. But my favorite saying, I say this to everybody, I will say this all the time: you can't get to 1 billion without one. Focus on the one. Don't focus on the billion. Focus on the one. As long as you focus on the one and you understand one today plus one tomorrow plus one the next day and so on and so forth, you're compounding that, and it's going to turn into 1 billion before, when you realize it, it's like, wait, I actually achieved that goal. It's a nice goal to have, by the way, to become, to get that billion or to achieve that one Bitcoin. I'll tell you guys a quick story. I say a lot. I need to stop saying a lot, but whatever. But I'll tell you guys a quick story. So I remember when I first got into cryptocurrency, and my girlfriend used to laugh at me all the time because, my biggest thing I would always say is, I'm going to get that one Bitcoin. I'm going to get that one Bitcoin. And she would just kind of smile. Yeah, she would be supportive of it. She's like, yeah, you're definitely going to get there. You're definitely going to get there. And she would remind me to stay focused on not on the end goal, but where I currently am, and just know that eventually I'm going to get there. And you'd be amazed that she saw how my face lit up when I finally got that one Bitcoin. It was so awesome. Not to go too deep into my holdings or whatnot, but when I did acquire that one Bitcoin, that was a hell of a day. But I understood what it took to get there, and she was very supportive and helped me understand what it takes to get there. And I'm helping her understand what it takes to get there. Once you break it down and look at it from an investment standpoint, as well as not just a psychological standpoint in regards to, you got to have that one, but when you break it down to a Satoshi level, it becomes even more attainable. In your mind, you don't worry about how much one costs, because you're only focused on stacking them sats. That's what people like to say. You're stacking them Satoshis. Right. So that's my spiel on, what do you do if you can't afford to hold Bitcoin? There are plenty of options. It's kind of like investing in an ETF. When you're investing in an ETF or a stash invest, even on Robinhood. I hate to talk about Robinhood for cryptocurrency. I would never recommend anyone use Robinhood for investing in cryptocurrency, mainly because of the fact that you never own the actual coins themselves. You can only settle it in dollars, so you can never take ownership of those coins. You can't transfer the keys off of their platform. Same thing goes for PayPal. Not to talk bad about them, but a true investor in cryptocurrency wants to have actual ownership of the cryptocurrency. In regards to, you want to be able to move it off of a platform onto your hardware wallet once you purchase it. So remember that. That's a quick little tidbit that I threw in there. But going back to my point is, when you're buying stocks, I used to use Stash all the time to invest in certain individual stocks and certain ETFs. Well, I'll use, what was one? Amazon. And what was the other one? Shopify. I was investing in those two. And there was no way I was going to buy a full share of Amazon stock. But what Stash helped me to understand was that, I can dollar cost average into it. I can invest a certain amount and buy fractions of that stock until I get to, and continue to stack it up and eventually get to a share, 2 shares, 5 shares, whatever the goal was. But it's the exact same concept. If you guys use Robinhood for investing in Tesla or investing in Amazon or investing in any other very high end stock, you understand that you don't have to buy the entire share of that stock. Same thing goes with cryptocurrency. All cryptocurrencies, for that matter, you don't have to buy an entire coin in order to invest into that crypto. You can buy fractions of that coin. And Coinbase, I mentioned Cash App, and there are a few others that will allow you. Gemini is another good one. They'll allow you to buy those fractions of that coin, and you can either, if you want to, you can set up a schedule where they'll auto invest into those coins for you. And with those platforms, you can actually take ownership of your coins, so you don't have to sell it in cash. Some people, they're more interested in the return versus actually taking ownership of the cryptocurrency. So it wouldn't matter to them, if they had ownership of the coins, and they can take it off a platform or anything like that. All they cared about is, I made some money off of it. But for someone like me, an actual investor, an actual lover of cryptocurrency, someone who actually, is learning to develop on the blockchain, I need to own my cryptocurrencies. So that way I can do whatever I want to do with them. If I wanted to go to another country, I don't have any issues taking my funds with me, taking my coins with me. It's not a situation where I have to ask for permission to use my coins from one of those exchanges, one of those custodians. So that's kind of where I was going with that. Don't want to harp on that for too long. We do have a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions that you want to ask, by all means, you can either raise your hand, I can unmute you so you can talk, or you can post it in the Q&A section. And I'll go ahead and open the floor up for you guys if you have any questions. It doesn't necessarily have to be related to what we were talking about this topic. If you got any general overall questions, by all means, ask away. I'm here to help. And like I said, you can just raise your hand. Okay, we got Alex here. I'm gonna go ahead and allow you to talk, Alex. Hold on a second. All right, you're unmuted, Alex. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
All right, what you got for me, bro?
So what actually is the current price of a Bitcoin?
Great question. Let's look it up real quick. Let's find out. So I'll switch back over screens here so you guys can see what I see. The current price is $56,605.
Okay.
Now, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, what are you saying?
Okay, I had another follow-up question, but go ahead. What you thought?
No, I was just gonna say, again, don't focus too much on the current price. Understanding what the potential is for Bitcoin, understanding where it's going to go. As an investor, if you're looking at it from an investment standpoint, still has a lot of room for growth.
Okay. Now, you were talking about some of these cash services like what is it? The PayPal and Cash App. Now I know they have the options for you to automatically deposit into your Bitcoin. Which one would you prefer? Or which one would you suggest that people who just want to just automatically kind of just put into the Bitcoin and not think about it, which one would you suggest?
Me personally, I buy my Bitcoin through Cash App. And it kind of goes back to what I had mentioned before in regards to them allowing you to take ownership of your coins. You can actually transfer the coins off of their platform. PayPal doesn't allow you to do that. So with PayPal, you can't, when you buy it through them, it's stuck there and it'll only stay there. And when you're ready to, all you can do is sell it. You can't actually take ownership of the coins. You can't take possession. It's only settled in cash. So for me, and I'll say this for me, that's a red flag, because if we go back to when I was talking about in the article, if we get to a situation where Bitcoin replaces the US dollar as the world reserve currency and you're stuck with dollars, you don't have Bitcoin, what are you going to do? You get what I'm saying? So for me, for a security standpoint, I would prefer to have actual ownership, or at least the opportunity to take ownership of my coins. So I would choose Cash App over PayPal in that regard.
All right, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. No problem. We got any other questions from anybody? Like I said, let's see. Oh, Chantel had posted a question here. Let's see. For those who took advantage of the Dogecoin Blitz, who don't believe or may not know of its unsustainability, would you recommend they move their profits to Bitcoin, since that has a higher proof of sustainability? Is that a better form of protection against the inevitable fail of the Dogecoin? Great question. Great question. So, people who watch this, these Crypto Talk Tuesdays, if you watched the last one, I am not a fan of Dogecoin at all. And the reason I'm not a fan of Dogecoin is because of the fact that it has no real world utility. That's one rule of thumb if you're ever wanting to get into investing. Ask the question even if don't want to do a thorough research, thorough background into the coin that you're investing into, at least ask the question, what's the use case for it? Dogecoin has no use case. The creator of Dogecoin literally says it to this very day that it was created as a joke. It was created to be nothing more than a meme coin, and that's it. Now, it has a lot of hype around it. It definitely has a lot of hype around it, but it's purely just hype. Now, would I recommend that they move their profits over to Bitcoin? I'm not going to give you recommendations, but what I would say, if it was me and I was able to get into Dogecoin when it was literally, 1,000th of a cent, and now it's currently at around 5 or 6 cents, me personally, I would have, I would definitely move my profits over to Bitcoin at this point, because of the fact that, Dogecoin has an unlimited, what is it, 149 billion or something like that. It's an ungodly number, to the tune of 1.4 million are minted every day. Literally every day, 1.4 million new Dogecoin come onto the market. It's, from a market cap standpoint, in order for Dogecoin to even hit $1, which I've seen people say, and you have to forgive me, I have to hold my hand for this, but I've seen people say that Dogecoin is going to do what Bitcoin did. Dogecoin can go to $1, it can go to $10, it can go to $20. Those people don't understand market cap. They don't understand the tokenomics, the fundamentals of Dogecoin. They don't understand how it's produced, where it's produced, and where it comes from. All they know is everybody's talking about it. Now, in order for Dogecoin to even go to $1, that would put it at like $135 billion market cap. Now, I'm going to go back real quick to give you guys an example. I'm gonna come off my live screen there, and let's look at some market caps. Okay, currently, the current market cap of Ethereum, the number 2 coin in the entire market. Bitcoin's market cap is a little over $1 trillion right now. Ethereum, the second runner up, its market cap is $205 billion. Ethereum is known as the we say the computer of the crypto world. It's a supercomputer. That's what it's used for. Like, its use case is unbelievable. You got thousands of companies developing applications on top of Ethereum. You got hundreds of thousands of individual developers. You got almost 10,000 projects, people that are minting new coins and things like that on top of Ethereum's blockchain. It has a real world use case. Its current market cap is 200. It just went down. It's roughly $205 billion. Let's compare that to Dogecoin. Dogecoin, there it is right there. Its current market cap is $7 billion. $7 billion. Current price is right at 6 cents. It has no use case. It literally has no use case at all. Nobody's building on it. It lives off of hype, off of true hype. So that's when I tell people, yeah, it may go up. It may even go to 10 cents. But don't pour a lot of money into that. I personally, again, this is not financial advice. I personally would not. I have yet to put a penny into Dogecoin, and I won't put a penny into it because of the fact that I understand that as soon as it's no longer talked about, it's going to crash. So that's my rant about Dogecoin. I give a weekly rant about Dogecoin. You guys can blame Chantel for that when she posted the question. All right. So next question, we got Willie, who just posted a question. He said the biggest thing where people make mistake on crypto is not securing their coins as well. That's true. Make sure you can actually make a transaction, purchase for a coin. They do have VPNs that's available, but the VPN thing is kind of something you would use if you want to trade on an exchange that doesn't allow U.S. Customers. So you'd have to, try to sidestep that by using a VPN. So it would appear as if you're connecting from another country outside of the U.S. So that's the great thing about the VPNs. And the second question was, and also, what do I think about EIP 1559 and EIP 3668? Great questions, Willie. Great questions. So there's an ongoing debate, or there's an ongoing feud with EIP 1559. And for those who don't know, EIP 1559, that's an Ethereum improvement protocol. It's for the Ethereum blockchain, and its purpose is to help with congestion, because those who are investing into Ethereum, those who are familiar with the cryptocurrency space, knows that the Ethereum blockchain is currently heavily congested, which is causing some very high gas fee prices. Now, what they propose with that particular what they introduce, what Vitalik Buterin and some other developers introduced with the IP 1559 is to introduce what is that? They call it it's like a base rate for gas fees, so that you don't run into a situation where you're paying $80 for one Ethereum transaction. And you may just be wanting to, invest in an NFT, a non-fungible token. You may just be trying to buy some art or something. You may be wanting to post your NFT, for all of my developers out there who are into the art world. You may just want to post an NFT, and you run into a situation where in order to post that, it's going to cost you like $80 to do. So, and the reason that happens is Ethereum was originally designed in a way where it's like a point system. So the miners, they are the ones who process your transactions each time you want to make a transaction on their blockchain. And what they can do is they get to pick and choose the price of the fee per transaction. So the higher fee that you present to them, the greater chance your transaction will go through a lot faster. And that's kind of what, again, EIP 1559 looks to try to clear up. It tries to help with congestion, and all this is pre Ethereum 2.0, which is going to switch from a proof of work, over to a proof of stake blockchain. So you won't have the need for miners anyway. It won't be that type of situation. But the issue, what I was going to say, is the battle right now is that the miners don't want EIP 1559 introduced, because obviously it's going to drastically cut into their profit margin. It's going to take away from the amount of money that they were making, especially today, when we're in a serious bull market. And everybody, with the NFT craze, we got this big old bubble where everybody wants to get into digital art and in a non-fungible token manner. Everybody is utilizing Ethereum's blockchain. So the miners are making a killing, because again, you're paying about $80 per transaction. Somebody's got to process their transaction, and the miners are getting their fee. So of course they don't want EIP 1559 to go through. They actually, supposedly on April 1st, April Fool's Day of all days, are planning to combine their hash rate with a particular mining pool as a show of force, so they can show that if they wanted to, they could introduce a 51% attack on the network. An absolute waste of time. It would be kind of like shooting yourself in the foot, because if you were to expose that level of a security breach within the network, a lot of people are going to fly. A lot of people are going to flee. Which, as a miner, if you don't have people using the network anymore, guess what you're not getting? You're not getting transaction fees. So I think that's kind of what EIP 3368 is supposed to introduce. Forgive me if I'm not referencing it correctly. I haven't looked it up. I've quickly heard about EIP 3368, and I think its purpose was to kind of like meet them in the middle, like a kind of like a compromise, like a negotiation between the developers and the miners, so that I think that it increased a little bit of their fee, but still to the point to where it's not killing the little guy who's just trying to do a simple transaction on a network. So hopefully, I got long-winded there. My apologies, Willie, but hopefully that kind of answers your question about my thoughts on both of those improvement protocols that's supposed to be coming through. Like they should be coming through pretty quickly. I think it's set for, was it June, or I think it's either June or July that EIP 1559 was supposed to get pushed through. So it's coming through pretty quickly. All right. Next question from Alex says, how do you feel about Coinbase? Is it good to use that? Also, how do you secure your coins? Well, I have a love-hate relationship with Coinbase, to be honest with you. One thing about Coinbase is that whenever, and I'm pulling it up on my phone real quick so you guys can see what I'm talking about as far as my love-hate relationship with Coinbase. So I use Coinbase to track, bring it for the camera. Anyway, I use Coinbase to track the coins that I'm currently invested in. Most of them you can't purchase on Coinbase, but they're really good at providing up-to-date price feeds. So I use them as one of my tracking tools if I just want to do a really quick scan to see what the market's looking like from a pricing standpoint. Also, Coinbase is a great on-ramp for just getting started. They're great for anybody just getting started, because you talk about ease of use. Literally any coin that they support on their app, you can go in, you connect your bank account. You can actually connect your bank account and your debit card to their platform, and boom, you can buy it just like that. So from an ease of use standpoint, Coinbase is awesome. Now, my problem with Coinbase is that since I've been into crypto, every single time, literally every single time, to the point to where there's certain Twitter accounts that actually track now. But every single time there's a huge spike in the market, like a huge spike in Bitcoin's price or a huge fall in Bitcoin's price, Coinbase goes down. They shut down all trading. They shut down literally the app says there's something wrong, they can't connect. So a lot of people, experienced traders and things like that, have an issue with Coinbase, not just traders, but investors also, because of the fact that when the market's hot, they're nowhere to be found. So say you're a great example. Say you have, you know, say you got 5 Bitcoin. Right now, 5 Bitcoin will run you about $300,000, give or take. Like I said, I'm going at $60,000 range, even though Bitcoin is roughly about 50. What we said, 55 and some change right now. Yeah, 56.2 actually. So say you got 5 Bitcoin, it's sitting on Coinbase's in your Coinbase account. All of a sudden, Bitcoin goes to $500,000 a coin. Well, guess what? You just got $2.5 million from your 5 Bitcoin. You want to cash out some of that. You're probably not going to cash out all of it, but you definitely want to cash out some of that because you want to take advantage of those gains. And it's probably a quick pump that's going to have a heavy retracement. You can't do that if Coinbase is down. There's nothing you can do about it. And by the time they come back online, which has been proven time and time again, it's already done retrace back. You didn't catch the pump at the top of the pump. And for me, that's a huge problem, mainly because of the fact that, like I said, when it's time to take some profits, you want to take some profits. Nothing wrong with taking profits. Nobody ever lost money taking profits. And it's a good strategy that I definitely like to employ. So when it's hot, when the market's hot, when the coin is pumping huge, take those profits, wait for it to retrace back, reinvest those profits. So now you've gotten even more of the same coin that you were initially invested in. It's a perfect situation. It's a great situation. Now, part 2 of your question. Again, I kind of got a love-hate relationship with Coinbase for those reasons. Like I said, it's perfect in regard to somebody who's just getting started. Very secure. Since they've been out, released their app, since they've been functioning as an exchange, they have yet to be hacked. So that's a definitely kudos for them. Definitely a check in the right department for their side. But again, the issues with them constantly going down every time the market gets hot, it'll piss you off. Especially, you go from seeing your account sitting at 2.5 million and it'll drop down to 750,000 and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know about you, that'll piss me off. But anyway, all right. So second part of your question, how do you secure your coins? Now, are you asking how do I personally secure my coins, or are you just asking that as an overall statement? Going back to the second part of your question, Alex. Overall statement. Okay, so you asked as an overall statement. Well, there's multiple ways of securing your coins. The first way we just got through talking about is leaving it on an exchange, i.e. Coinbase. So you can just leave it in your Coinbase account. I have a few coins that I'm invested in that I have on my Coinbase account for no other purpose than when I'm ready to sell them, I'm going to sell them. They're not long-term holds, anything like that. I'm just gonna, as soon as I decide, all right, they've made enough return for me, I'm selling them out, I'm cashing them out. So in that regard, that's an option that you have in order to secure your coins. The only issue is you're trusting them, the exchange. You're trusting their security. Think of it like a bank. Banks, when we put money into the bank, we're trusting the bank with our account. We're trusting the bank with our money. Well, if you become a victim of identity theft, now all of a sudden your account just got drained, and you got to go through all this hassle of trying to, you got to fill out paperwork, you got to do a dispute. We'll contact you in 30 to 60 days. Hopefully, we'll get your money back. Depending on the bank that you work, that you're invested in. So that's one risk. The way I personally secure my coins is with a hardware wallet. It's a Ledger hardware wallet. And for me, that's the safest because you're 100% in control of your coins. That seed phrase, which is the passphrase to that wallet, is you're the only one who knows it. And you write it down, you put it in a safe deposit box, whatever the hell you got to do to ensure that you keep it safe, because that's truly the lock and key to your coins. Now, with that comes a great responsibility, because if you lose that passphrase, if you lose that seed phrase, they're gone. Nothing you can do about it. There's nobody you can call. There's no Customer service, there's nothing. You know, if you lose that seed phrase, you're done. Kind of like the the guy who's a developer. He had what he's got, like over $200 million worth of Bitcoin locked onto a hard drive, and he forgot the passphrase for it, and he can't get back into it. Yeah, it's kind of like that, you know. So there's pros and cons to both of them. I personally prefer the hardware wallet option because, again, I like to be 100% in control of my funds. I like to be 100% in control of everything that, you know, I'm managing. If I lose my money, it's because I lost my money. It's not because a bank got hacked or an exchange got hacked or, you know, anything like that. So those are my options for that, my answers for that question. Let's see. I see that Chantel, you got your hand raised. Are you wanting to actually ask a question or you want to say something? I can unmute you if you want to say something.
I did have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so for those like myself who, unlike you, have not quite matured yet to the point of no longer chasing that numerical value of Bitcoin and switching over to looking at it as Satoshis, well, I can say I still have like this love-hate relationship every time, you know, there's a rally. You know, I'm excited because the money that I have in there already is growing. At the same time, I'm like, damn, it's getting harder and harder for me to get to this specific number of Bitcoin or this specific number of Ethereum that I want. I get it. For those who want to take the altcoin route and are not looking for like long-term holdings, like you say, you have the ones that you have that are there to do its job and you're going to sell it eventually. If we decide to go that route, I know, you know, we should be looking at the market caps, what those are. What other things should we be looking for in altcoins when it comes to us determining if that's a coin that we should invest in?
Oh, that's a great question. So, I'll tell you what I do when I'm looking to potentially invest in a new coin. And by altcoin, for those who aren't familiar with what that term means, that basically means any other cryptocurrency outside of Bitcoin. It's an alternative coin to Bitcoin. So I'll tell you what I do. Let me pull up my little chart here real quick, and I'll go back over to the screen. So let's take DOT, for example. DOT, an up and coming altcoin, has been doing amazingly in the charts as far as performance goes. What I would do, I would actually pull it up. I would find out about it, you know, quick little description, you know, where it shows you here, DOT is a blockchain platform that aims to achieve scalability by making it possible for specialized blockchains called parachains to interoperate. That's the number one question right there. What use case does it have? Well, it's answering this question right here in a simple little one sentence description. It's achieving scalability by making it possible for specialized blockchains called parachains to interoperate, meaning that they can talk. So say you have a Ethereum blockchain, you have a Bitcoin blockchain, you have XRP blockchain, so on and so forth. I'm using these as examples. These are not actual parachains on their network, but I'm just using these as an example. What will happen is you can interface with all of these different blockchains without having to bounce around. You know, you can do it all from their platform. So it produces interoperability. Now, the next thing I would do is I would research the team, you know, research the team who developed this. You know, in this particular case, it's not going to show it here, but you can take a step, go a little bit deeper into it, look it up. You know, let's pull up a new tab. Let's go to, was it Polkadot? Let's see. I'm gonna just do a quick search for it so we can go to the Polkadot.network. Here you go. So we're looking at, we can actually look up by going to their website. We can look up, we can go even deeper into their what they're doing, you know, what their use case is, you know, what their potentials are. Now, when I talk about the team, when I'm looking at, you know, who's involved in it, I know that their founder is Dr. Gavin Wood. Dr. Gavin Wood was one of the original developers on Bitcoin, and he was also the CTO. He was the guy that was responsible for Ethereum coming into existence. He was one of the key components in the development of Ethereum overall. So understanding that, these guys are very transparent. They constantly provide updates. It's not a situation where you have to literally, search almost as if you're searching for the lost city of Atlantis in order to really find out more about this project. Another project that I'm extremely key on is Cardano. Exact same situation. When you're researching them, you find out, what their about is. And then from there, you go and you do a little bit more research. Now, Cardano's, the head of the Cardano is another former Bitcoin developer who was also a part of the Ethereum development team. So they have a lot of experience in regards to, the things that they worked on and the things that they do with successful projects, which is another reason why their projects are becoming successful. Now, the use case, you look up the use case again, they have a very solid use case. They solve a very specific problem. So those are the things that I look at when I'm investing in a new coin. Now, it may not always be the cutest coin. Sometimes they've been established, they've been out for a while. I only have a few projects that I'm in that are outside of the top 10. Like Theta's one of them that I'm in that's outside of the top 10. Uniswap, but again, having a very high understanding of what their use case is, that's where, I would focus on initially. And then look at what they're doing. Don't jump in a hot project. Like, look at this right here. You see Avalanche is up 14% in 24 hours. That's a hot project. You don't want to jump into something when it's hot like that. You want to wait for a retracement. Look at VChain right below it. VChain is down 6%. I know for a fact that the use case for VChain is unbelievable. Now, when I first got in and started looking at VChain, it was a penny, literally a penny. Now it's up to 7 cents. That's a 7x return. Look at it from that way too. Don't look at the fact that, Dogecoin aside, because there's no real use case to Dogecoin. I had to throw another shot at Dogecoin. But VChain is solving a true problem when it comes to authenticity, when it comes to tracking from start to finish, tracking a particular product from start to finish. So knowing that they started at a penny, and now they're up to 7 cents. And even though they're retracing right now 6%, I always say red days are buy days. There's a perfect opportunity to go shopping. It's down 6%. Well, now it's down 3%. But you get what I'm saying? Like it's down for the day. And looking at the chart, it's taking a bit of a dip. Now, this dip right here would have been an awesome entry point if you're going to invest. But again, understanding that this is a project that has a real world use case and that it's definitely going to be something that's going to be around for a very long time. So you don't have to worry about investing in it today and it's going tomorrow and now you just lost all your money. So I know I just said a whole lot to answer your question, and I apologize. We all know that I can get long-winded at times, but hopefully I did answer your question.
So it's not as simple as, when people say buy the dip, is you really need to do your research as far, because it's those trash coins. There are trash coins out there that may dip. It might stay down, but some people will go and just throw a lot of money into it just because it's down and think that it's going to eventually come back up. So you want to look at, I guess, the performance trends for that specific coin. How far back are you, needing to look when it comes to looking at a coin's performance?
Well, there's a few chart patterns that you can take a look into. That gets a little bit more advanced when you're doing your research. I like to go back about 3 months, let's see if I can pull that up on VChain from the standard chart here. Yeah, so let's see. Let's look at this. I'll bring you guys back. Okay, so looking at VChain, I got it set to the 3 months. If you notice, remember when I said it was at a penny at one point? This shows back when it was at a penny, and that was 3 months ago. Obviously, December 25th. Now, the trend is going up. It's trending up. If you look at the chart pattern here, it's going in the right direction. Even though it took a dip, what we talked about just now, it took a 6% dip. Its overall trend, like they say, when in doubt, zoom out. Its overall trend is going up. And this is the 6-month chart. So it traded sideways for quite some time, and then it's finally getting its moment in the sun. So that's one thing I would take a look at too, is look at the trend pattern for it. There's a lot more technicals that you can get into. You can look at the RSI, the relative strength index. You can look at where it is in regards to the 200-day moving average. There's a lot of additional things for if you're more of an advanced trader that you can take a look into. But if you're just kind of poking around a little bit, want to put a little money into something, and you want to look at a solid project, now those would be the things that I would pay attention to when I'm doing my initial evaluations about particular projects that I'm thinking about throwing some money into. Now also, I'm gonna put this out there. I am an avid follower of particular projects and particular news outlets in regards to cryptocurrency. I will spend all day watching YouTube and reading articles if I could, just trying to make sure I'm staying as up to date as humanly possible with what's going on in the market, because that helps. And also too, following certain, which I'm actually going to do. I'm going to have a topic. It may not be next Tuesday, but it may be the following Tuesday, on the resources on how to the different things that you can use, the different tools that you can use to pick a good project. So that's definitely coming up in one of our topics, because I have a top 10 list of the different tools and resources that people could use in doing their evaluations. All right, let's see. Do we have any other questions from anybody? I want to make sure I give everybody opportunity to ask their questions if they have them, or to make a statement. This was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys, decided to come on and gave me the opportunity. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What was that?
No, I just want to say that this has been very helpful. Just the first two classes here just has really opened my eyes up to a lot, and you're making it easy to understand for someone who didn't know anything about it at all. So I definitely appreciate your approach, and you just helping your community out with understanding this. It means a lot. Appreciate you, bro.
Oh, no doubt, bro. No doubt, man. That's what I'm here for. Whenever you got questions, I'm the first one to say, yo, bro, check this out, look at this, and, do it like this. But kind of like what me and you talked about offline, was that we got to make it easy. We got to make it simple. We got to make it so that everybody can understand it. I know that I talk sometimes in a more technical way, but that's why I'm glad I have, people around me like you, like Chantel, like, Alex, like, Willie, like everybody who's a part of the circle, who's a part of this community, because I'm calling this the Crypto Scholars community now, to help me to further make it more understandable, make it a lot more simple, so that we can easily get into it, we can easily understand it, and we can everybody go out here and make this money, man. We make these gains, bro. Make these gains.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, so anybody else got anything else they want to add? I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up. We good. All right, well, I ain't got no outro music and nothing like that, but I want to thank everybody for joining. I'm excited about continuing this on. This is definitely going to be an every Tuesday thing, 8 p.m. I will always send out the registration links. Everybody who's going to join the webinars are going to have to register for the webinars each time, but that's okay, because it's definitely going to be valuable. So I'll keep everybody in the loop. Visit our Facebook page. CryptoScholars.org is the Facebook page. The @ is @CryptoScholars.org, or you can just do a search for Crypto Scholars, and we should come right up. And looking forward to seeing you guys next one on the next one, man. Y'all have a great evening. Thanks, everybody. I was about to say, sorry, that was for my my little outro music.
Okay, don't do that.
All
I
right,
almost
y'all.
gave you some outro music.
Yeah.
Almost. And hold back.
Hey, the little do. That ain't it.
Nah, when doing it, y'all weren't feeling that. Y'all weren't feeling that at all.
Nah, bro.
We got to get you some outro music, man.
All right, man. We out of here, man. I'm out of here.